Hi Stampers, welcome. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stampin Flair, and today I have an easy technique I'm going to share with you. We're going to use our decorative masks. Um, I don't use them very often, it seems. I think I kind of forget about them, and maybe you do too. So this is going to be kind of a reminder to pull them out, and because they make great backgrounds, and we're going to make one using the water and dots decorative masks. So let's just go flip my camera over and we'll get started. So the piece we're going to basically be making, the main objective of this video is to show you how to make this piece here. And we will continue and make the rest of the card just a slight variation of this one. But I thought first I would just show you what I'm going to use. So that particular element is die cut with this die from the Flourish and Frames hot foil dies. We're not going to hot foil, but this particular set comes both with hot foiling dies and with cutting dies. So the ones that you see in gold are the hot foiling, and there's a ton of them in this bundle. But we're just going to use these cutting ones. So I took the largest of the four, and once we get our background made, that's what we're going to use to die cut it. The card is made with Summer Happiness bundle, and it's a cute, fun set. It's just lots of choices of smaller items in there, and all of them have coordinating dies. Every image has a coordinating die, and there is also a die that makes some larger flip-flops here. So, and then my sentiments are coming from Scalloped Blooms, which is also great dies that go with it. We're not using those, but I picked the sentiments from here. I could have used sentiments from the Summer Happiness, but these are fairly large, and I wanted to keep them small and maybe make them a little bit more general, so they don't have to be used just in the summer, I guess, although the images are summery. So let me set those aside. And this is the mask we're going to use. Like I said, it's from Water and Dots. This one is the water dye. I think it also works really great if you want to make something with an animal print. And it is 12 by 12. So if you're a scrapbooker and you're doing 12 by 12 pages, it is big enough for that. For cards, it's a little overkill from what we need, my opinion. So what I like to do when I use a mask is I first like to adhere it to my work surface temporarily. So I have some temporary adhesive. I just like to set it on here. That way I don't have to worry about it. Make sure I'm in the frame here. So I work a little further away from myself than I'm used to. That way, as we're blending our colors with the mask, it doesn't want to move around on you. And I also like to adhere my mask down. So I'm just going to use this upper corner. And I have some low-tack tape, so I'm just going to adhere that kind of on the edge up there. That way both things, we can put another piece over here, as I have it sitting here. These have been used many, many times, these pieces of tape. Now everything is secure, and I don't have to worry about the mask sliding on the cardstock or the cardstock sliding underneath the mask. And I'm going to get my blending brushes, and we're going to start with Pool Party. And we're just going to blend this. Now, I like to start off not right on the cardstock, because you can kind of sometimes get it like a blob. So I like to start off and just move towards the center. And one hint I have is I'm right-handed. I tend to go counterclockwise, and I try to remember to go both directions, because if you always go in the same direction. Your image won't look, it's going to catch on this side of your, it's going to sketch on the direction where your brush is going. That's where your blending brush is going to, and it's going to leave more ink there and not get as much on the other side. So try to remember just to go in both directions so you get it doesn't come naturally for me to go clockwise. I don't know why. So we're just going to cover this whole thing quickly. I'm not going to worry about it getting really even. I just want to make sure I get it in each little element. So now, before I loosen everything up, I usually just leave one set attached and pick it up and see if I've got the coverage I want. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to put my pool party away. And I'm going to grab my coastal cabana. And I'm just going to pick this up and I'm going to move it just slightly. And we're going to do it then with the darker coastal cabana. They are color buddies, so they work well together. Now I want to use the same brush as I did before. It's just the one, or was it? I had two of them laying here, and I don't know which one I used. Guess it doesn't really matter. I think it's this one. I don't know. Okay, so let's again just start off, and I'm going to add some coastal cabana. And you can do this for as long as you want to get it as dark as you want. I'm not looking to get it super dark. Water's not usually super, super dark. The reason I moved it was because I just wanted a little bit more movement, I guess, in the design. I do think this works really well for animal prints, and I didn't want my water to look like an animal print, so that's why I decided to pick it up and move it and just go one more time, and then we will die cut it. So let's take a look and see how that looks. You can see it looks a lot different, and I don't think it looks like an animal print anymore. So, okay, I am done with those two, and we are now going to cut a ½ inch off of this so I can use it for the inside of my card. Grab my cutter back here, my trimmer, and I'm going to cut it off. This piece is 4.5 by 4, and I want to cut it off the long edge so it's long enough for the inside. And I'm just going to set that aside, and we'll use that on the inside of our card. And now I can die cut this with that die I showed you. I'm going to move my mask out of my way. It's inky. I'll run it under the sink. Oh, it wants to live. I just run it under the faucet afterwards. Before I do this and get this inky, I should probably clean this off because I can see there is ink on there. I just grab a baby wipe. And clean that off. Yeah, it was inky. All right. So now let's go ahead and just run this through. It doesn't have to be any particular place. I'm going to stagger my plates slightly. So I have the base plate number 1, and then the thinner plate number 2, and 2 3s. And I am just staggering them slightly. It just makes it easier to get it through. you're not hitting a big abrupt edge. So I always try to remember to do that. I don't always succeed, but. Okay. I still have that adhesive on the back, so it wanted to stick to my plate. I'm like, why won't that come off? Ah. Okay, let's put this die away before I put it somewhere I can't find it later. I'm glad I have a counter behind me. So we're not quite done yet. So I'm going to put this back on here. And what I want to create now is a little bit of an ombre effect. So I'm going to use a couple other colors of ink that are in the same color buddy area. And we're going to start with Pretty Peacock at the bottom. And Pretty Peacock's pretty dark, but that's all right. I'm going to start off from it and just kind of blend maybe the bottom inch or so. I don't want too much. Just want to just get a little bit. And I do want the edges, so I'm going to take this and I'm just going to just touch the edges lightly, just to darken those. Here you want to make sure you don't have too much ink on your brush when you're doing that. Okay, that's pretty good. And I'm going to try to get as much of this off as I can. Normally I would start with the light color, or I could grab a new brush, but we'll use this one and I'll just get most of the ink off. I don't really want to transfer my Pretty Peacock into my Lost Lagoon. I don't care if I put Lost Lagoon into Peacock because it will never show, but in this case, I should have gone in the other order, light to dark. I think I was focusing on getting those edges done, because that's what kind of really makes it stand out a little bit more. Okay, and we can blend that down into the Pretty Peacock. I only want it on the bottom half, so there we go. So that's done. Easy, right? Get these, and we'll take this off, and one more time, clean it, or I will have a mess when I lay my other pieces on here. They'll get all inky, kind of like my hands. My hands are inky too. Okay. Squeaky clean. There we go. Now we're just going to put it together. So I have some of it done. Like I said, we're going to follow this and just use some few different elements. But I embossed this layer with the, I forget what this embossing folder is called. I should have it here. Swirls of Magic. It's got stars and swirls. So let's just go ahead and see if my snail wants to cooperate with me today. Some days it likes me and some days not so much. Okay, so far so good. I think I'm getting low on the row, so and sometimes it gets a little fussier. To get that straight. Okay, and I'm going to adhere this directly to the card front. I debated about putting dimensionals or doing it directly, and I decided I'd pop up the next layer and leave this one flat. So now this I'm going to put on here with dimensionals, and then we'll start adding our elements. And I'm going to take this temporary adhesive off just so it doesn't get pressed down and stick flat. So we will pop these up. Probably more than we need, but I don't like when we get flattened out before they get to the person I'm sending them to. Okay, and I want the darker on the bottom. Okay. And instead of a sun, I decided I'm going to put some sunglasses up here. And I debated on colors, and I liked the coastal cabana, so we're going to stick those up there. You can see I made it in 2 colors on the other side. And I'm going to put this, I do want it popped up. So I'm going to put 1 dimensional, and I should probably be using small ones here. Now that I think of it, probably be easier. We'll use small ones, and then because the corners of the glasses are going to be off from this element, which is on dimensionals, I'm going to put 2 layers. That way it'll lay flat. All right, so let me just lay that on there to make sure I have my dimensionals where I want them. Yep, that'll work. Now we can stick that on there. And I guess right about there. I don't know. We'll see how this works. And then I thought I'd put some flip-flops on here. So I got a bunch of different color ones here. These are a little bit bigger than the bottles. So I got to see where to place them. Might have to tuck them under the glasses. I want the yellow one over here by the glasses. That's kind of cute. Maybe just a little bit higher. And we need more dimensionals. Here, these give me plenty of room to use the larger ones, so I'll just go ahead and use the big ones. Right about there. Maybe should have had those glasses off just a little bit more. I gotta make sure I leave room for my sentiment. I really prefer to have made the card before I start making it in front of you guys, because you can see how much I'm making. I don't know. Where do I put that? Where do I put that? But it's kind of part of the process, right? So, and the last ones. There we go. That'll work. And I used a hot foiling die called Sweetly Sentimental, I think it is. Yeah. And this is really great because I used that on this card too, this little cheers to you. And it makes all of these at once, and then there's one die that cuts them all out at once. So it's great. So I got extras made. So I'm going to use just a little hello. And I wanted it to be black. So what I use for my cardstock is I use two-tone black cardstock. So you can see this side's a little more lighter black, and this is the darker. So I did this because I had pink foil, gold foil, and silver foil. And any of those for sentiment, I sort of really thought would show up better on black. So I tried the two-tone for the first time for that, and it worked great. I was very happy with how well that worked. All right, so I'm gonna cut a strip off from my black dimensionals, just a narrow little strip that I can put on the back of that. Do you guys cut up your dimensionals? I use every inch of my dimensionals. Nothing goes to waste. And make sure I don't get it upside down. And we'll just put that right there. And then all we got left to do is to add a little bit of bling. So I'm going to use a little bit smaller ones because these flip-flops are bigger than the bottles. And the sentiment's a little longer, so I don't want to get it too jammed in there. There, that's what it needed. Now, for the inside, we cut off that piece and saved that piece, right? And I did not stamp my sentiment, but I'm going to use this one. It says, just a little hello, wishing you a day of relaxation, happiness, and love. I thought that went good with flip-flops. So let's just, I'm going to lay this on here first. Oh, and it is a little short, so we're going to have to put it here. I should have made my piece longer, so we'll just put it on the side, but I'll lay it there, and that way I can figure out where this looks best. Okay. Now I could just stamp some flip-flops across the bottom too. That would work. Just figured this would be a little bit quicker for the purposes of not taking up your whole day. And try to keep these short because mainly there's, in this case, I just wanted to show you the little bit modified version of with the masks, sliding your mask over to just vary your design a little bit, and then adding a little bit of ombre layer at the bottom. So that was the main thing I wanted to show. Because this stuff, if you've been making cards for any length of time, you know how to do this stuff, right? I like to show something that might be new to you or something you forgot about. Oh, that's my wrong card. What am I doing? That one I made it open differently. This one I went back to the standard way of opening a landscape card. Okay, and there we go. Now, I didn't have enough of this left over for my envelope, so I am going to stamp some flip-flops, I think, just quickly. I got some bright colors here. First I have to find the Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Here we go. I didn't plan on doing this, but let's just go ahead and do it. So I'll grab my flip-flops. I could just put a pair of sunglasses on here, couldn't I? Because I do have a pair left. Maybe we'll adhere that on there. I always get scared of adhering things to the front of an envelope because I never know how well they're gonna hold up. Oh, that was not right. Okay, I'm gonna find my chamois to clean this off. And let me try some melon mambo. And how about some, where did I put my banana? Oh, it barely wants to fit. Well, we're gonna put it over here and forget the sunglasses. There. That's considered decorated. At least it's not blank. Gotta do something. Jazz up the envelope just a little bit. And I'm gonna close these up before I lay something in them I don't want to. That's my trick. So there we go. And this one, I think I put some bottles on the back. I don't see my envelope right now, but here it is. So I put a sun with some drinks on the flap. So there we go. 2 cards. What do you think of that? That technique with the masks. I hope you give it a try. Put me back here. Okay. I always get nervous when I have to change stuff because I'm not always successful. But that time it worked okay. So I hope I either reminded you of something maybe you haven't done in a while and maybe showed you a little bit new way, new twist of what to do with your masks. Use the ones you have and just have fun and play. That's kind of what the whole crafting experience is about, right? Just having a good time and trying new things. So until next week, we will say goodbye. God bless. Have a great weekend and take care. Bye-bye.